is your relationship with time? Are you wired and tired, stressed and overwhelmed, busy and going nowhere? Or just want to scale your business? Welcome to Take Back Time with your host, Penny Zenker. Penny focuses on books, strategies, tools, and tips to help you work smarter and approach your time more strategically. As a result, you can have more energy, focus, and get more done in less time. Be more efficient and effective. Get ready to take back time.
Hello, and welcome to Take Back Time. My name is Penny Zenker, and I'm your host. And I am super excited today to talk about project management, planning, and communications, because this is so important to our success. And it is something that a lot of entrepreneurs have great challenges with, having the right tools, having the right mindset and focus. So I know this is going to be a great show for you guys. And not only that, but I have a dear friend and amazing individual. She's an investor, a serial entrepreneur, a coach, an international speaker, right? I only hang out with high achievers. Emi Kirschner, right? She is here with us. She really masterfully brings her deep intuitive abilities and her analytical sense to help creative entrepreneurs and visionary leaders to build their businesses and make the impact that they want to make while also doubling their revenue. And so she's an expert in creating and implementing strategic long-term plans, increasing productivity and performance while reducing stress. So, of course, we have a lot in common in that context. And increasing sales, building leadership. And she teaches also young people between 7th and 12th grade also how to write their business plans and pitch to investors. So without further ado, Emi, welcome to the show.
Oh my God, thank you. That was like the best. That was the best intro. And I think it takes two great minds to be super excited about project management.
Well, because we know it's important, right? So we're going to do today's some technical review of Zoho Projects and other type of project management tools, as well as get into some of your brainchild around that whole thinking process.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm really excited because I've probably used like 4 or 5 different project management tools. And it's Zoho for me, it works the way my head does. And it's so much easier to manage multiple projects and multiple big projects, and some that have timeframes and some that, are just kind of ongoing things that every month we're doing a different set of tasks for.
So let's talk about that. So you've used a couple different project management tools. So what kind of tools have you used so that people understand what are some of the other tools out there?
Yeah, so we've used Asana. We used, I think it's called Monday now. They had a different name that I liked better, which I actually like that, but I like Zoho better. We use Trello, which is great for, at least for me, for simple things. But my team and I are planning is far too complex for it to manage effectively. We used Freecamp for a while. I'm pretty sure there's something else out there. But
is that like Basecamp? Freecamp?
No, it's Freecamp.
Okay.
We looked at Basecamp. We've played around and looked at a lot of different tools when we finally moved to Zoho Projects. And it was through that trial and error too of like, well, this one's great, but it doesn't do X, Y, and Z. And this one's great, but it doesn't work for my head.
So what were the top things that you were looking for when you were going through and trialing? What were the top things you were looking for? And granted, to those out there, you might be looking for something different, right? So I don't want to say you have to do it this way, but I find it fun to pick apart other people's brains to see, well, what's important to you.
Right. And I'm going to also add too that like, there's no good or bad here. For me, it's really about finding the thing that works for you. So one, there had to be a comfort level with all of our team members. So when we were looking at this, I have 4 people on my team, 2 of whom were really young, and it needed to be simple to use. So people weren't going to be reading instructions and watching a ton of videos on how to use this.
Right.
That had to be relatively intuitive.
Right.
And nothing against Asana, but like Asana for me was more like a glorified to-do list. And I needed more than that. So that's what Zoho Projects does for me. It gives me an ability to really manage the project and measure like how we're doing and the progress and see it in different views in different ways so that I know that we're staying on track. So there's some reporting on the dashboard that just makes it easier. And then I can look at projects as a whole too. Mm-hmm. So not just one project, but we've got at any given time between 4 to 10 things going on. How are we doing as the whole? Because that's really what I'm looking at when I'm doing like my monthly and quarterly planning is, it's not just this one thing, like not just my podcast and are we getting all the speakers in and the materials in and whatever else, but are we doing everything that we need to week over week, month over month?
Absolutely. All right. Awesome. So that's simplicity and intuitive and being able to measure progress was the second thing. Was there anything else that was really important for you to make sure this tool could do for you?
Yeah. So then we need to be able to store, and I think a lot of project management tools do this too, but our documents. So different graphics, different Word docs, spreadsheets, whatever goes with that project. We're actually, and I love Slack, and I've said that I've loved Slack. We're actually moving away from Slack a little bit and keeping more of the data files in and assigned to each project. And then
because it gives you more structure. Is that why you're moving away from Slack?
Yeah. And when you get into like the second and third revision of creating a social media graphic or anything else, it gets lost in Slack pretty easily. So then it's tied into that one thing and it's less searching.
Absolutely. And those are things that until you get further down with a lot of tools, you don't see some of the challenges that could be there. And I think those are that's why we're doing this, right? Is to really get people to be thinking of that ahead of time. And I think it's a great metaphor for anything that we do, right? Is to be able to think a couple steps ahead as to what might happen, scenario planning, so that you can see, well, how is this strategy going to pan out? And what are the different ways that we might hit some challenges? So that's great.
Yeah. And it's nice too, because the reminder feature for Zoho Projects works the way I'm expecting it to. And I've had things like it was either difficult to set up or they didn't send them at the time that I thought they were sending them. So I get my reminders in a way that is timely for me, that makes sense for me, that I actually go and use. So I think that's been the biggest thing is that we actually use projects and the project management system far more effectively. And there's still a learning curve and there's still things that we can do better, but I feel way more organized overall.
Right.
I actually have even my personal stuff in there. Like
that's awesome.
Yeah, there's one project for like all my personal things, and then we've sub-project all of those out.
Awesome. So you use projects and sub-projects. So you break that project down into sub-projects. Now, would those sub-projects for you be like milestones, or do you have, meaning are they the granular sub-project, or are they like a cluster of milestones?
Some of them are milestones, and some of them are groupings of tasks that need to be done together in order to contribute to the milestone.
Okay. Yeah. Got it. So we've got the document management on top of that, the reminder function. Is there anything else that really stands out that you say these are the reasons why Zoho is your number one project management tool?
This is really silly, but I'm a color person, and you can change some of the colors and how the data is reported, and that gives me extreme joy.
Hey, go with the joy, right?
Right.
If it brings you joy, you should do it.
And for those of you who are more creative, like having some of that little stuff that makes it kind of fun, but gives you the customized feeling, I think is really helpful.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now, I know that Zoho and all these other programs have like a free version and different paid versions. Are you using the basic functionality, or are you using sort of the upper paid functionality?
We're using paid because I need to have multiple users, I think. And
so is that the main difference between free and paid?
There's other features in there too. I don't remember anymore what.
Okay.
But they have a really clear chart, which was always good for me too, about what the free stuff and then everything else includes.
And so do you use other Zoho products? Now I know they have other products. Do you use those, and how do those integrate for you?
Yeah, so we use Zoho Social for our social media scheduling, and we're just setting up Zoho CRM right now. And there's some interaction, I think, more between Zoho Social and Zoho CRM, where like the contacts in my CRM will automatically be like tied to, I'm using the term loosely, but tied to the social, so that Like if people are commenting on a particular post and they're in my CRM, that will get tagged. I'm not sure how it interacts with projects yet, but well, we're playing with it.
Distractions are the enemy of productivity. Go to distractionquiz.com and find out your distraction profile. Are you a time zombie or a hamster? Take this free distraction quiz today to rate your ability to focus on what keeps you from being a wizard. Go to distractionquiz.com.
So with the project side of things, do you use any other automation tools that are linked to that, or is it pretty much at the moment
It pretty much it's standalone right now. Like I think we can tie it to Slack, but we haven't done that. And I'm sure there's some other integrations. I tend to want to always jump into like, let's add all this stuff in. And I didn't do that with projects this time. I'm like, let's master doing this first and really get comfortable with seeing how the projects flow and what we can do to increase really our performance, one, in staying on deadline, but two, in really mastering our time. Like that's one of the things that was really cool too with this is that, like the way I do my planning when I'm looking at a project or starting something new is to kind of list out some of those tasks and assign them time values so then I can play with that when I'm scheduling it into my calendar. And you can track time and then schedule time with projects too. So then I have a sense of it's going to take me 5 hours or 30 hours or whatever, and I can break that up into the weeks pretty effectively.
So within Zoho itself, you're tracking time and scheduling time. So it's connected to your calendar?
It is not connected to my calendar. What I do is as I'm moving things around in my Google Calendar, and the way I set my calendar up too is like in the mornings, for the most part, I have what I call focus work time. And that's my time to get content creation or planning or whatever else needs to get done to work on the business piece more. Mm-hmm. So even though it's generally a set time, that's where I'm playing with, I'm going to work on this project and this project and this project. And then depending on, where we are with which things we're working on.
So then you come back and you report it in Zoho as to how much time you spent on that project.
Yeah. And there's a function where you can like start the stopwatch and it'll track your time for you. I don't use that part. I think my assistant may, because she's tracking her time to bill me appropriately.
Right. I want to say for people listening, like that's huge. Like I would use that function if I were working with it, because I think that, and you could use it outside in a separate tracker as well. But I think that if you're managing all your projects there, for people who don't track their time, it's really important to get a sense of how long things take, because in our mind, we think, it really only takes this much time, when in reality, we have a warped sense of reality when it comes to time. Some things happen. Totally, right? So it's really important to track that. And you have your own mechanism to do that. So you don't use that timer. But for people who are listening, if they're engaged in this, I highly recommend that they use that.
And that is really key, because part of what I think creates overwhelm is that we do have this crazy warped sense of what we can get done. And most people are still trying to fit 32 things that would normally take 3 months into 2 days.
Totally.
And I got really annoyed and frustrated and like whatever, just didn't even want to deal with anything because of that. So I started like, all right, well, the only way to fix this is to really acknowledge how long it takes me to do certain things. So I've tracked that. And so I have a ballpark of how long it takes me to do any number of things. And so that way I can budget that time in my calendar. And that doesn't mean that it's not over by 15 minutes or under by 15 minutes, but it's at least averaged out. And I can then actually see what I'm doing during the day and the week and be like, oh, don't add 62 more things in.
Right.
It just simplifies it.
Absolutely. What I like to do, I don't know if you do this, but it's also to look at what percentage of time you're spending in each of those kind of categories. As an entrepreneur, we wear a lot of different hats. So what percentage of time are you spending on sales, on operations, on prospecting and marketing or social media or whatever, right? So whatever it is that you're doing yourself, because I find that I always have to take a step back and say, okay, what percentage am I doing? And for me to reach my goals, what percentages do they need to be? And by tracking your time, you can get those figures more accurately. Do you do that with percentages?
I don't do the percentages, although now that you suggested, I'm going to have to add that in.
There you go. We're all always learning, right?
Right. But I do know, like, you want to be spending more time or really looking at the time you spend in how, what the return on investment is.
Absolutely.
For each thing. So that then you can shift and prioritize, is this thing going to actually get me the results to bring in more revenue?
Right. Absolutely. You want to focus on the right things, especially for the entrepreneur, right? I was just talking to somebody else earlier this morning about there's so many ways to be distracted into, all of these different areas. And if we don't really focus on the right things and the things that are driving revenue, we can easily find ourselves not making revenue.
Yeah. Yeah, never mind forgetting to ask. It's like you're not even at the place to remember to ask.
Right. Yeah. Awesome. So tell me, what else do we need to know about Zoho Project?
I would say, like, plan any project management tool, plan on having a little bit of a learning curve. And even though I said it is fairly intuitive, it's really about what works for your brain and playing with. So like what we did initially was we took, I think, 2 or 3 projects, put them in there, set them up, and started working with them before we added everything else. And just use
Test it, right? To test it and see how it works for you. Yeah. I think that's a really important thing. And, just you mentioning that, I want to highlight it again for people who are listening, because with any app, right, people, they quickly take on an app and then they're like in it and throw everything in it. And then it's like complicated and they haven't thought about how they're going to use it. And then all of a sudden they're not using it anymore because they didn't really plan it out. So I love the fact that you're saying plan on that learning curve and take time to identify how you're going to use it and test it out and all of that. It's so important.
It is. And it does have an app on your phone too. So like for me, I'll remember something as I'm like standing in the grocery store line.
Yeah.
So it's super easy for me to just add it in there instead of like creating a note or something to remind myself. And
totally.
For me, at least, it's one of the best project management tools that I've used. And I like the simplicity and then the data too that it can provide. And it really frees up that headspace of what do I need to do? What do I need to do? Where are we at? All of those things.
Right. And what does that do for your sense of time management and everything? Just give us a...
Well, it gives me a sense of freedom. Like I run a pretty tight schedule and I like that. Like that makes me happy. Some people might want to have more space in theirs and that's totally okay. But it really frees up the, am I using my time effectively thought, because I know what I'm doing, what we need to get done. Mm-hmm. And being realistic with what we can accomplish in any given time.
Awesome. And so lastly, because we need to wrap up the show for now, Are you celebrating at milestones?
Am I celebrating a milestone?
Yeah. Like you said you've got this reporter and this tracker, and I'm asking that because a lot of people don't. And, celebration is really important to our momentum, right? Is to step back and to see what we learned and to apply what we learned and then also to celebrate our successes.
Yeah, I can't say that we really have like officially other than like, oh my God, it worked. But yeah, we haven't made it into like a party or a game at this point.
So something to think about for you and for everybody listening, right? Is how can you even up the energy by creating that momentum, especially, people like yourself, people like myself, like I'm always off to the next thing, right? It's always, next thing, great, done. Right. Let's go to the next thing. And that in itself provides some momentum, but really stepping back and giving yourself a little pat on the back. And, it doesn't have to be a big party or anything, but just some acknowledgement of extra celebration. Maybe it's even like, I love when you go to Trader Joe's and they ring the bell, even, it might be to get somebody's attention to go get something. But I love that whole concept. Like maybe there's a little bell or a little, like one of those memes that you can just give
your little happy dance. Yeah.
Yeah. Like give yourself a moment and maybe you can automate that when something gets checked off that comes onto your screen and gives you a little happy dance and reminder that you're moving forward and you're going towards your goal.
Yeah. Both my assistant and I are super excited when we check stuff off the list. So even that, we're like, it's a mini happy dance.
Awesome.
And we spend time like reflecting, but yeah, I think there's a place where we can definitely up the ante there.
Awesome. Raise the house. So Emi, I'm sure there's people here who'd love to connect with you outside of this show and hear more about what you're doing and what you might be able to do for them. where can they find more about you?
Absolutely. So best place is at thetribeofleaders.com. And I'm on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Emi Kirschner. It's EMIKIRSCHNER. And would love people to come hang out and play with me in my Facebook community, The Tribe of Leaders, too.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here and sharing your wisdom and your thought process around how you're managing your projects.
My pleasure. Always fun to hang out with you.
Thank you. And thank you all for being here, because you got some important tips about Zoho Project, which you might not have heard about before. And you might have heard about some of those other tools like Asana and Trello. And basically, from what I'm hearing, glorified task list. And I know that they haven't been working for me because I used them for a little bit and then I dropped them. So I'm going to check out Zoho Project, and I think you should too. So my name is Penny Zenker, and this is Take Back Time. We'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you for listening. Today's topic is another opportunity for you to put the knowledge you learned into practice. Tune in again next week for more strategies that will help you have more energy and focus to get more done in less time, so you can continue to take back time.